Welcome back, Fantasy Fiction Fanatics. It's great to see you again, and I hope you're doing well. Today is going to be another quick book review. But before we go ahead and get into that, I just wanted to cover the trivia question from this past week. The correct answer was Second Generation, the Dragonlance series. Some of you added that, some of you didn't. But yes, that is the name of the book from the Dragonlance series in particular. So correct participants were Paul and Brendan. But thank you for everyone who contributed and answered. I really appreciate you participating and joining in the trivia question with me. If you'd like to go ahead and check out the trivia question and possibly give an answer to it, go ahead and head over to the website, fantasyfictionfanatics.net, and you will find it there in its normal spot on the right-hand side. Just scroll down just a little bit, or on mobile, it'll be almost all the way at the bottom. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into our book review. It's going to be on Children of the Outback, which is by Amanda N Newman. And she is the one that I did the last book review on. I will go ahead and link it for you. So if you want to go ahead and check out her other book that I did a review on, you can go ahead and see that as well. And I also have an official book review on this book on my blog, so if you want to see more information and more detailed write-up of exactly what I thought of this book and the other details going into it, I will go ahead and link that blog post down below for you to look at and enjoy. Okay, so basically, quick description of this book is that Australia has had a civil war, which is now dividing the country between the Republic and the Outback. So it is completely divided with a wall in between, and there are people known as dingoes and bitzers that live in the Outback, and they are seen as really horrible, terrible people, and the bitzers kidnap people and make them slaves that are traveled around through the Outback and sold to the people who live there. So anybody from the Republic that ends up in the Outback or is kidnapped and brought to the Outback ends up as a slave, a lot of times to dingoes, but not all the time. And Grace is a young girl who gets kidnapped at the age of 12, and by her 16th birthday, she officially enters the slave trade, and she ends up having to go deeper into the Outback and really experience more of the life of being a slave in the Outback. And she kind of learns more about the life that happens out there, the dingoes and the bitzers, and what everything really is about. So that's basically the synopsis of the story. Let's go ahead and get into what I like. So I have three main things that I really like about this book. The first is that it's a very unique story. At least for me, it is. I'm not super familiar with dystopian fantasies. I haven't read a lot of them, but that's something that I really liked about this book, and the fact that, for me at least, it was very unique. Maybe those of you who know more about dystopian fantasies and stuff like that might not think it's as unique, but for me it was really refreshing, a really unique concept, really unique story, so I really liked that about this book. The second thing I really like about this book is how the author, though it is in first person, switches between multiple characters, which are indicated in the title chapters. And so we get a chance to see both the Outback and the Republic at different points in the novel. So we kind of know what's going on in the Outback and everything that's happening with Grace as she's being sold through the slave trade and everything. And then we also see how the Outback and the events happening in the Outback affect the Republic and the people in the Republic. So we get several different characters on both sides' point of view. So we really get a full picture of this world that we're in this country, and both sides of the story and how things work both sides. So I think that that's something that's excellently done, going between both sides and getting the full picture that not every other character gets to see. Only us as the reader gets to see it, and we truly get a full picture of what is going on and what this place is. And third, I really like how complex the world that Newman has brought to the pages is. We've got a whole bunch going on. There is magic, there is history, there is culture, there's discrimination, there's a whole bunch of things that happen that make people vulnerable, and the horribleness of this world and how you have to endure it and move forward through those things. we kind of tackle a little bit of what makes somebody good and what makes somebody evil, and depending on your perspective, how you think of other people as good or as evil, or acts being done as good or evil. So it's a really complex, unique world that tackles a whole bunch of information, a whole bunch of different types of things that can happen to people in one novel, which I thought was very well done. So that's something I truly enjoyed. Now, I have two things that I didn't like as much about this novel, and the first thing is that I feel like the character development for Grace and our other kind of more focused on character, Rudolphus. So we have several different characters, like I mentioned before, but these are the two that we focus on quite a bit, and they're the ones that, in my opinion, go through the most change throughout the novel. And that character development is pretty slow. I feel like there are many different times that like these characters face an event or somebody telling them something or whatever else the case may be. They're experiencing something that is in their face that's like, this is not, your thinking or what you feel or whatever else is not the way it is, not the way the world works, and we're presenting you this other information, or you're experiencing this other event that disproves the way you're thinking. And yet they still hold fast to those thoughts and feelings that they have for a very long time in the book. This book, I believe, is over 500 pages, if I remember correctly. And it takes them like 300 pages or so before I feel like they really start being able to move forward and to change their thoughts and to be able to progress as characters. So for me, it took a little bit longer. Yes, it was a longer novel, but I felt like there was many times that would have been better opportunities earlier on to make it at least slowly start progressing in the direction that Newman was trying to take them. And second, which kind of also coincides with this, is that I feel like the book is kind of too long. I feel like there are some moments in there that I think could have been cut because they weren't, for me, overly progressing the characters or weren't really needed for the story, and I'm not really sure why they were in there. So, not in a bad way or anything like that, just for me, I felt like it could have been a little bit better if the story was a little bit shorter. And I think that would have also helped the character development a little bit quicker because it was a little bit shorter story. It would have been able to move a little bit smoother, a little bit better on that progression as well. Okay, so would I recommend this book? Yes, I would recommend this book, especially for people who really like dystopian fantasies and are really interested in those kind of concepts that come with dystopian stories. Or if you're somebody who doesn't mind a little bit more of a slower moving story, something that's a little bit more deep in depth, taking you through the story at a slower pace and moving you through a longer work. So if you are either of those two people, I think that you would really enjoy this book. It has a lot of interesting concepts, like I said, and a lot of things that are good to experience for these characters and things like that. So yes, I would recommend it, and that is what I thought of this novel. So if you have any questions about what I think on this novel, you're welcome to leave them below. And I guess I will see you guys in the next class. Bye!